He is the Republican from Wisconsin, and we join us today. Bryan, we're talking here about Civics 101. How do you respond as a grizzled pro to a debate like that? A debate that just seems so juvenile.
I think we have to ask ourselves the question, at the end of the day, did viewers walk away informed about the most important policy issues of the day? I don't know that that format's leading to that. We have so many serious challenges from the fiscal standpoint to foreign policy, and this seems to be a conversation that's built for Twitter clicks.
We've had a president and a former president enjoy the climes of Detroit. Wisconsin is sort of northwest Detroit, or maybe Detroit southeast Wisconsin. We'll let you decide that. Your thoughts on the political input of these two presidents into the UAW process?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Janesville, Wisconsin, where we had a UAW General Motors plant that would ultimately leave around 2010. And so I understand what these workers are feeling right now who are on the picket lines. Ultimately, workers across the country are feeling that their wages have not kept up with inflation, so they're fighting for more money. Politically, I think this is the right move to go and actually have the conversation with the men and women who are working day in and day out. And I think at the end of the day, the bread and butter issue, the fact that wages are well below inflation, the average family is spending over $700 a month more today than they were 2.5 years ago for the same things, ultimately will punish Democrats.
As we talk about wages, there's a question about whether 800,000 government workers will get paid come Monday, given the fact that there is likely to be a shutdown. Do you think it's appropriate for them to not get paid in order to have some of the political wrangling worked out?
There's absolutely nothing positive that comes out of a shutdown. It hurts the American people and the credibility of our government. We're working to hopefully avoid that. That's going to be a challenge, but hopefully cooler heads prevail here by Saturday night. There is nothing right with people, Americans, who are working, who are not getting paid for that work.
What people are saying is that it's very likely that there will be a shutdown, that there seems to be an impasse, and that Kevin McCarthy is sort of not doing his job very well as the leader of a very fractured group. Do you get the sense that he is frustrated, that he regrets taking this job?
I think we're all frustrated. I think he's done a pretty darn good job trying to wrangle everyone together to move us forward. The Senate also is in dire straits. They haven't moved their funding bills either. The entire system of spending in Washington is completely broken. It needs a complete rewrite. We're also here 48 hours away. What do? I think we really need to come together to pass a clean stopgap measure, keep funding in government moving forward while we work out the details of these important spending bills.
But, I want to just push back a little bit because, Congressman Steil, you said that Senate has their own problems. Mitch McConnell actually is working together with the Democrats to try to come up with something. They are passing through certain measures. It's not just about this being both sides of the aisle. Is this a fundamentally problematic issue with the House? And really, it has nothing to do with the Senate. It really is a House issue led by some of the fractures in the Republican Party.
I'd offer to you that there's a few members on the Republican side in the House that probably get a lot more media attention. But I would note that as we actually look at the appropriations bills moving forward, the Senate is maybe further behind than the House. Neither are doing a good job. The underlying system here in which we're working on spending in D.C. completely broken.
Congressman, would Ronald Reagan recognize your party? It seems like the nation, we know this well, has moved conservative over the last 20, 30, dare I say 40 years as well. Where would Ronald Reagan fit into your modern GOP?
I think we're still a center-right country, and I think Ronald Reagan would be able to lead this well. I think the big distinction is many of our loudest policymakers are no longer speaking in the aspirational tones that Ronald Reagan did. If we returned as conservatives and talked about how we're going to produce opportunity, address the biggest challenges
I don't mean to interrupt, but because of time, Congressman, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. Why can't your GOP leadership insist on that aspirational tone?
The broader media environment, Twitter and others, seem to like the confrontation. As we saw on the debate stage last night, there aren't enough programs like yours that have substantive and serious conversations about the policy issues of the day.
Okay, but you got a guy in New York City, Mr. Trump, who invented a GOP of grievance. It's a grievance party, which is anathema to Janesville, Wisconsin? How do you go from a grievance GOP, not back to, but towards something new that is that aspiration of the GOP back to 1860?
Well, I can tell you when I'm at home in Wisconsin, which founded the Republican Party in Ripon, Wisconsin, people are still optimistic, believe our best days are ahead, recognize we have serious and substantive challenges. And what I think we need is a leader of the party that talks about how we are going to move forward in a difficult period of time.
Congressman, thank you. We're going to clip some of that and put it in primos. Congressman Bryan Steil there.